All right, this is the volleyball rotation video. We're going to go over zones, rotations, serve, and serve receive in this video. So here you can see all of the zones. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zones. Remember, across the net, they would look opposite of this. So a 1 would be in the back corner. And this is how we rotate through our zones. So if you sub in on the front row, you're going to go to these 3 rotations, always starting on the left. If we sub you in on the back row, means you're probably going to serve back here in zone 1, and then you're going to go to the left to 6 to 5. Again, that's how you would sub onto the court in the rotation order you go. All right, so these are the positions in starting lineup. So we have a setter and right back and a right side and left front. They're always going to be opposite. Usually after 3 rotations, we would make a sub and a new right side and a new setter would come in. We also have 2 middles in our starting lineup, but that middle in the back becomes the libero. And a libero will always be opposite of a middle. And then we also have our outsides. That's fun. Opposite of each other. This person on the back row could be a middle back, but a lot of times outsides do go all the way around. So and in this lineup for serve receive, you always have to remember that this person right here always has to be behind the right side and to the left of the libero. And that applies all the way across to everybody. So your setter would have to stay behind your outside and to the right of your libero. The libero has an extra person. They have to stay behind the middle back and they have to be sandwiched in between these 2 players. So when we line up in serve receive, you'll see these rules come into effect. But let's start with serve. This is rotation 1 as if Katya were to serve first. Okay, my libero is going to be in their base. My outside will be on the left side of them. On contact, they slide over. And up here on the front row, we're all stacked in the middle. And after she serves, we go to base. Again, and we go backwards. So that's serve when Katya or our first server is serving. And that is base after the ball goes over the net. This is rotation 1 service. Remember that your outside is actually up here, but they're in serve receive, so they have to be pulled back. They are still on the right side of the middle, and they're still in front of their setter, so that's why it's okay. Erase the outside. Remember, our setter has to release up here. After my outside passes the ball, they transition to hit, and both of my front row players up here should be coming off the net. We can also pull them off the net if we keep getting killed on short balls, but we typically don't do that. So here is what it would look like after first contact. I'm going to go back. So remember that all of our hitters are off the net right here. And this is a perfect 3 pass, so they have 3 options of their hitters. My back row people are splitting my hitters so they can cover. And remember, this is after the first contact, so the ball has not gone over the net yet. After the next slide is where we should end up. After one of these people hits the ball over the net, we should end up in base. So again, I'm going to go through that again. This is serve receive, transition for that serve receive, and base where we would end up. And you'll notice that base is almost always the same. The only difference is which outside is back here and which middle is back here. All right. This is positions in rotation 2. So notice that this outside hitter is now rotated to the front row, and this outside hitter is now in the back row. But all of your rules stay the same. So here is serve. My outside is serving. So my 2 people on the back row can already be in base. My libero's in base, my setter's in base, and the outside is going to run in. This outside is already in their base as well. So the only person who has to move on the front row is the right side. And that is where they will end up in base. Again, very similar. The only difference is the color of the outside in the back, middle back. Serve receive. Okay. Remember that our setter is actually in this place right here in zone 6. So they do have to stay behind the right side. They have to stay on the right side of the barrow. And if you can see, they are. I mean, it's close, but they are on the right side. And they're on the left side of the outside. So typically, actually, this person could come a little bit closer as long as they're between these two players. This outside is my front row outside over here. Remember that if they don't pass, they're going to transition right away. And if they do pass, they have to transition as well. That's still on the front row. Typically, this person really should just be covering the short balls. I like a right seam here, so my liberos can go this way, and this outside can go here. But I understand that's not always possible, but that's what typically, in a perfect world, we would run in this serve receive. And that's what it looks like in transition. So again, after the first contact, the ball has not gone over. All of my hitters are off the net, not necessarily in their base yet because my right side and my middle do have to switch, and my libero in the back row, middle back or outside. And that is what base would look like. So I'll go back. So this is serve receive number 2. Transition and a base, which moves us to rotation 3. Okay, still remember that our setter and our right side are opposites. Middles have just switched. So technically, this is after serve. In a second, you'll see that I have my middle serving first, which means the libero won't be on the court, but this is typically what the rotation looks like in rotation 3. And again, I noted right here that the middle is serving. So my libero is off taking a water break right now. So think of this as like Sully is serving and Bree just went to the front row. And my libero, to me, a Lily, somebody is taking a break. Here, the setter will be moving to base. So my middle, who is serving, has to run to what is typically the libero spot. And this outside, all they have to do is slide over. So those are the only things they have to do during serve in rotation 3. And my middle will play it out until they lose their serve. So if they get a few points, they will stay in until they lose their serve. When they lose their serve, the middle on the back row and the libero do switch, which brings us to serve receive, rotation 3. Now this outside that's blue is technically here in zone 3. So that's why it's important there on the left side, or excuse me, the right side of this middle. And they're in front of this outside. The setter is behind the middle, like they need to be, and still on the left side of the outside. And remember that this outside is front row, so after they pass, or if they don't have to pass, they will be coming straight here. And this middle comes straight to the middle. So they can run a quick, or just a middle hit. Transition, after we have moved, most people, hitters, are close to their base. So once they go to base, that's where we are. Again, I'll back up. This is serve receive 3. Transition and base. All right, next one is rotation 4. I do want to note that at this point, if we're running a 6-2, we would sub. So that would be like Chloe going in for Katya on the front row up here, and McKenna going in for Isabella or Chrissy on the back row back here. So setters and right sides have switched. You will notice that every serve, receive, and serve looks the exact same as rotation 1, 2, and 3. So as long as you know those 3 rotations, you should be good for 4, 5, and 6, but I will go through them very quickly. But again, they are pretty much the same. So this is serve. Now your serve is back here. Your outside has to be on the left of the libero. They will slide on contact, and they're stacking in the middle, again, having to wait for contact to move. And that is where they'll end up. So again, serve to base. Serve receive number 1. So again, this looks exactly like serve receive rotation 1, but this rotation 4. My outside is pulled back. They will come up to hit. My setter will come up to set, and both front row people will follow the ball off the net to this transition. Once the ball goes over, they are in base. Again, this looks exactly like rotation 1 serve receive, if it looks familiar. It's because it is. And this is rotation 5. So no, our outsides have now almost done a full rotation. So this one start on the back row, they're back on the back row. This one start on the front row, they're back on the front row. Okay, and again, this one will look exactly like rotation number 2. So we have one outside serving. My libero and setter are already in base because if they're serving, they don't matter with those left and right, forward and back rules. And the only person who really has to move is this right side. So that's where they'll go after contact. And serve receive, number 5, again, looks very exactly the same as rotation 2. My setter is pushing up the right side, and they'll come here. My right side and middle will come off the net. Remembering that this outside hitter is on the front row, and they'll come up to hit as well. So that's our transition. And my right side and middle will just switch and go to base after the ball goes over the net. We only have one more rotation. This is rotation 6. Again, note that the libero and the middle do switch at this point. We already saw what it looks like for a middle to serve, so this one will be a libero serving. And it looks exactly the same as if a middle was serving. My setter is going to slide over on contact. My libero will run into their spot, and really the only person on front row who has to move is the outside. So this is where they'll go for base. And serve receive, again, looks exactly like receive number 3 with my libero here, my setter creeping towards their spot. And remember that this outside is the front row outside, so they would come and hit after the pass. So again, that's after the first pass. Hopefully it's a 3 and we have 3 options. Again, it might not always look like this, but when we go to base, it should always look like that. And that is all the serve and serve receive for rotation 1 through 6. If you have any questions, I recommend watching the video again slower or write any questions down for me and I can address them tomorrow in practice. Thank you. I hope this was somewhat beneficial.